Ladies and gentlemen, sisters, daughters, queens, today isn't just another talk. It's a reminder. A reminder of who you are and, more importantly, whose you are. Our speaker today is not here to flatter you. He's here to speak truth. Truth with weight. Truth with purpose. He's seen the world try to define beauty by standards that fade, by filters that lie, by voices that don't know your worth. But he's not here to echo the noise. He's here to cut through it, to remind every woman in the room that your value is never tied to what you wear, how you look, or who notices you. Your value is eternal, God-given, and unshakable. It brings wisdom, conviction, and clarity, not from ego, but from experience. So sit up, lean in, because what you're about to hear isn't just motivation, it's revelation. And if you receive it, it will shift how you see yourself forever. Let me tell you something that the mirror can't always show. You are more than beautiful. You are gorgeous, not by the world's standards, but by the fingerprints of a God who doesn't make mistakes. And when he made you, he smiled. Now, how do you know you're that woman, that radiant soul deeply loved by God? Let me give you 9 signs, and I want you to feel them deep in your spirit. 1, you carry peace when others bring chaos. You don't raise your voice to prove your worth. Your calm is your crown. You walk into a room and things settle because you are settled. 2, you love deeply and forgive quicker than most, even when you've been hurt, even when it's unfair. That kind of love doesn't come from flesh. It comes from grace. 3, you know your value, with or without applause. You don't need validation to walk in your calling. You know who you are because you know whose you are. 4, you make people feel seen. You look past the mask, the attitude, the mess, and you find the soul. That's not weakness. That's divine vision. 5, you walk through fire and come out gold. Life has tested you, but it didn't take you. You bent, but didn't break, because you were built different. Heaven touched. 6, you don't compete, you uplift. You're not threatened by another woman's light because you know when you shine, you give others permission to shine too. 7, you pray when nobody's watching. You have conversations with God in the quiet. You don't need a stage to be spiritual. Your power is in the private place. 8, you carry yourself like royalty, but serve like a saint. Your strength is humble. Your beauty is not just seen, it's felt. Because true queens never have to shout their title. 9, you've been broken, but still believe. That's the sign right there. When life hit hard, you held on harder to hope, to faith, to the whisper that said, you are mine. In a world that constantly moves, constantly demands, constantly pulls at your attention, there is something quietly powerful about a woman who knows how to be still. A woman who chooses peace, not just for herself, but for the room she walks into. When everything around her is loud, voices, noise, pressure, opinions, she becomes the silence that speaks louder. Her peace is not weakness, it's mastery. She doesn't react, she responds. She doesn't panic, she pauses. And in that pause, there's wisdom. In that breath, there's authority. There's a difference between being quiet and being peaceful. Peace isn't passive, it's intentional. It takes strength to hold your spirit together when everything around you is falling apart. It takes maturity to smile when you could snap. It takes grace to speak gently when anger is justified. That's peace. That's the kind of power that doesn't come from pride, but from presence. The kind of peace we're talking about doesn't come from outside things. Not from money, not from compliments, not from control. It comes from within. It comes from alignment with something deeper, something unshakable. A woman at peace knows who she is, even when others question it. She knows what she carries. Even when it goes unseen, she has already had the conversation with God that the world is trying to have with her. And she's already found her answer. So she doesn't need to prove herself. She doesn't need to clap back. She doesn't need to be the loudest voice in the room to be heard. Her presence does the talking. Her energy makes the introduction. And when people try to bring conflict, she doesn't meet them at their level. She invites them to hers. That's real power. Not the kind that pushes people down, but the kind that lifts the atmosphere up. Chaos is loud, it's messy, it wants your reaction, but peace is control. Not control over others, control over yourself, over your words, over your emotions, over your space. A peaceful woman guards her heart without closing it. She protects her energy without isolating herself. She sets boundaries without building walls. She is soft, but never a doormat. Gentle, but never weak. Calm, but never passive. When a woman walks in peace, she becomes a thermostat, not a thermometer. She doesn't just reflect the temperature of the room, she sets it. She influences the atmosphere with her presence. People may not be able to explain it, but they feel it. They feel safer. They feel clearer. They feel the stillness they didn't even know they needed. That's her gift. That's her light. Some might say peace is boring, but only those who've never known real chaos confuse drama for passion. The woman who's been through storms knows the value of still water. She knows the power of silence after the noise. She knows that the strongest thing she can offer isn't her opinion, it's her peace. And she's not easily rattled because she's already rattled with the things that used to shake her. She's fought battles in prayer. She's cried in private. She's surrendered what she couldn't control, and in doing so found peace the world can't take away. People may try to test her. They may try to provoke her, get her to break character to match their energy. But she doesn't, because she's not playing their game. She's playing by heaven's rules. And peace is a spiritual discipline. It's a decision. It's waking up and saying, today I choose stillness over stress. I choose patience over panic. I choose grace over gossip. I choose to protect my peace, even if that means walking away. And when she does that, something happens. Her relationships shift. Her circle changes. Not everyone can go where peace is prioritized, but those who stay, they honor it. They grow in it. Because peace isn't just a personal trait, it's contagious. And when a woman lives in peace, she becomes a reflection of the one who gives it. She doesn't strive, she flows. She doesn't chase, she attracts. Because her calm doesn't mean she doesn't care. It means she's rooted in something deeper than circumstance. She understands that peace doesn't mean everything's perfect. It means she's no longer controlled by what's not. And that kind of peace, that kind of calm, it's not just beauty, it's divine strength in its purest form. There is a rare kind of strength in a woman who chooses to love, not because it's easy, but because it's right. She doesn't just give love when it's convenient. She doesn't offer affection only to those who deserve it. Her love comes from a place far beyond surface feelings. It's not a transaction, it's a decision, and that decision reflects something greater than herself. When she loves, it's not timid, it's not conditional, it's not based on performance. Her love is bold, whole, and rooted in grace. This kind of woman has probably been through more than she lets on. She has had her heart broken, trust violated, patience tested, and yet she still chooses to keep her heart soft. That's not weakness, that's courage. It's easy to become cold in a world that seems to reward distance and indifference. No, it's easy to close off, to guard yourself so tightly that nothing and no one can get through. But she knows better. She knows that walls don't just keep pain out, they also keep healing away. So instead of bitterness, she chooses vulnerability. Instead of revenge, she chooses compassion. Because she understands love is her superpower. And when it comes to forgiveness, she doesn't wait for the apology. that may never come. She doesn't hold on to grudges like they're trophies. She doesn't replay offenses in her mind like reruns of a show she should have stopped watching years ago. No, she forgives not because others always deserve it, but because she deserves peace. She's learned that forgiveness is not for them, it's for her. It frees her. It unchains her heart. It allows her to keep moving forward without the weight of yesterday slowing her down. Forgiveness doesn't mean she forgets. Doesn't mean she invites the same wound twice. She has boundaries. She has wisdom. But she doesn't allow what was done to her to become who she is. She doesn't let betrayal define her behavior. She doesn't let disappointment reshape her DNA. She may cry. She may hurt. But she doesn't let pain settle in her spirit. She processes it, releases it, and replaces it with grace. Loving deeply doesn't mean she always agrees. It doesn't mean she avoids truth. In fact, she tells the truth. But in love, she corrects with care. She challenges with gentleness. Her love isn't passive, it's powerful. It stands up for what matters. It protects, it uplifts, it restores. Her love isn't loud, it's steady. It shows up when it's inconvenient. It stays when others walk away. And it grows stronger when tested. People may take her love for granted. They may confuse her forgiveness for weakness. But what they don't realize is how much strength it takes to keep showing up with an open heart in a world full of closed ones. They don't see the battles she fights internally to not let bitterness win. They don't see the quiet prayer she whispers to let go, to release, to choose love one more time. They don't see the depth of the strength behind her gentleness. She's not trying to impress anyone. She's not putting on a show. Her love is not performance, it's principle. It's how she was built. It's how she was raised in faith, in truth, in soul. She knows that loving deeply doesn't make you foolish. It makes you fearless. Because to keep loving when you've been hurt is one of the bravest things a person can do. And her forgiveness, that's not forgetfulness. That's not denial. That's freedom. That's saying, I will not let this root of pain grow into bitterness in me. That's saying, I still believe in beauty even when I've seen ugly. That's the evidence of a heart that's been transformed by something higher, a grace that doesn't keep score, a mercy that renews every morning. She doesn't wait for the world to be kind before she decides to love. She doesn't wait for justice before she lets go. She leads with love and follows with forgiveness. She blesses even when she's been broken. She gives even when she's empty, because what she draws from isn't temporary, it's eternal. Her source is divine. When people wonder how she stays so open, so generous, so full of love, the answer isn't that she's never been hurt. It's that she's chosen to heal without hardening. It's that she's made the decision to be a conduit of grace in a world that desperately needs it. Not just in words, not just in theory, but in action, every day, quietly, boldly, faithfully. There's a certain kind of power in a woman who knows who she is, even when no one else sees it. A woman who isn't moved by the crowd or controlled by the silence. She doesn't need to be told she's valuable to believe it. She walks with a quiet confidence, not because people cheer for her, but because she understands that her worth was established long before anyone had an opinion. She's not waiting for validation. She's walking in revelation. She's discovered that worth isn't something given, it's something realized. And once it's realized, it can't be taken. Not by rejection, not by failure, not by comparison. She's no longer chasing affirmation like a thirsty soul. She's filled, full, grounded in identity. Her value doesn't increase with compliments or decrease with criticism. It just is. Constant, steady, whole. She doesn't perform for attention. She doesn't shape-shift to fit in. She knows that being authentic might make her misunderstood, but it also makes her free. She's not everyone's favorite, and that's fine. She's not trying to be. She understands that popularity is temporary, but purpose is eternal. She chooses the narrow path, the one with less applause, more substance. She's not swayed by trends, not addicted to likes. not defined by highlight reels. Her universe, her life is built on something deeper, something unshakable. She's been through seasons where nobody noticed her effort, where nobody clapped for her strength, where nobody acknowledged the weight she carried with grace. But she didn't crumble. She didn't quit. Because her motivation isn't based on being seen, it's based on being true. She shows up with excellence even when no one's watching. She serves with heart even when no one says thank you. But she's not doing it for the moment, she's doing it for the mission. She's learned to clap for herself, to honor her growth, to look back at how far she's come and say, I'm proud of me. She doesn't wait for someone else to say it first. She celebrates the small wins, the quiet victories, the private milestones, because she knows the inner work is just as valuable as the outer accomplishments. She's healing, she's evolving, she's learning, and that alone is worth recognition, even if it's just her and God who see it. There's a peace in knowing your worth that can't be shaken by people's opinions. She's no longer trying to prove her value, she's living it. When someone doesn't recognize it, she doesn't shrink. She doesn't beg to be seen. She doesn't lower her standards to be chosen. She understands that rejection is often redirection. And she'd rather be overlooked in a room not meant for her than be celebrated in a space that compromises her soul. Her confidence isn't loud. It's not showy or arrogant. It's rooted, grounded, calm. She doesn't compete with other women. She champions them because she knows her worth isn't threatened by someone else's light. There's enough room for everyone to shine. She's secure enough to lift others, confident enough to stand alone, and wise enough to know the difference between attention and respect. When life gets quiet, when the applause fades, when no one's clapping, that's when her worth truly shows. That's when she proves she's not driven by noise, but by purpose. That's when she keeps going, keeps building, keeps believing, not because she's being praised, but because she's been planted. She's rooted in truth, and nothing shakes a tree that's deeply planted. She's been underestimated, and still she rose. She's been misjudged, and still she stayed kind. Because her worth isn't up for debate. It's not a negotiation. It's not on trial. It's already been settled. And every time she walks into a room, she carries that truth with her, not on her sleeve, but in her soul. The world may try to tell her she's not enough, that she needs to do more, be more, look different. But she's not listening to the world. She's listening to the voice that knew her before she was formed, that voice that called her worthy before she ever performed. She's done trying to earn what she already has. She's done trying to convince people to see what God has already spoken. She knows her worth isn't found in being needed, being noticed, or being celebrated. It's found in simply being who she was created to be, without apology, without performance, without waiting for permission. It takes more than sight to truly see people. Anyone can notice what's on the outside, the appearance, the attitude, the presentation. But it takes discernment to see beyond that, to look past the defense mechanisms, the guarded smiles, the masks that people wear to survive. A woman with divine vision doesn't stop at what's obvious. She looks deeper. She's not impressed by image, and she's not intimidated by brokenness. She sees people for who they truly are, not who they pretend to be or who the world says they are. When she interacts with someone, she doesn't just hear words. She hears what's behind them. She notices the hesitation in the voice, the pain hidden behind the eyes, the fatigue behind the smile. She doesn't rush to judgment. She pauses. She listens. She leans in, but she knows that what people show on the outside is often a cover for something unspoken. She's not quick to label. She's not looking for faults. She's looking for the heart. That's what makes her presence so healing. People feel safe with her, even if they don't know why. She's the kind of woman who can sit with someone in silence and still make them feel seen. She doesn't need to fix everything. She just knows how to be present. Her gaze doesn't search for perfection. It searches for truth. And because of that, people let their guard down around her. They feel understood without having to explain. They feel loved without having to earn it. Because she doesn't love people for what they can offer. She loves them for who they are. Even in their mess, This isn't about being naive. She's not blind to people's flaws. She sees them clearly, but she sees through them. She understands that every wound has a story, that most people are protecting something, a hurt, a failure, a fear, and instead of reacting to the surface, she responds to the soul. She's not led by emotion, but by empathy. She doesn't take offense easily because she knows that harsh words often come from hurting hearts. Her ability to see souls comes from her connection with something higher. It's not just a personality trait, it's a spiritual posture. She's prayed for eyes to see like God sees. She's asked for vision that's guided by love, not ego. So when others walk away from the difficult, the complicated, the misunderstood, she leans in. She embraces the challenge of loving the unlovable, of listening to the unheard, of noticing the invisible. She's not impressed by titles, appearances, or resumes. She sees beyond status, beyond reputation. She knows that brokenness wears many disguises. Sometimes it's loud and aggressive. Other times it's silent and polished. But no matter how it shows up, she doesn't run from it. She sees it, honors it, and offers space for healing. Her presence is a mirror that reflects back truth and worth, not judgment. She's the kind of woman who remembers names, who asks how you really are, who follows up on things most people forget. She notices the small things, the shift in tone, the drop in energy, the silence where there used to be laughter. Her sensitivity is not weakness, it's intentional awareness. She's tuned in to more than just what people say. She pays attention to what they carry. Seeing souls means she gives people the benefit of the doubt, not out of denial, but out of grace. She believes in second chances because she's needed them too. She's patient with people's process because hers has been long. She's gentle with people's wounds because she knows what it's like to hurt silently. That's why she doesn't gossip, doesn't mock, doesn't shame. She builds, she lifts, she restores. There's a quiet dignity in how she moves through the world. She doesn't have to announce her compassion. It's felt. It's in the way she listens without rushing, speaks without dominating, touches without invading. Her strength is subtle, but it's unshakable. And it comes from her ability to see what others overlook. She knows that the soul is where the real battle is, not in the image, not in the behavior, but in the heart. So she invests there. She prays for people behind their back. She intercedes quietly. She believes for healing even when no one asks for it. Her vision is interwoven with faith, and that makes it powerful. Because when she sees someone, she doesn't just see where they are. She sees who they can become. There's a certain beauty that only comes from being broken and rebuilt. A woman who's walked through fire and still stands tall doesn't carry ordinary strength. She carries refined strength. The kind of strength that's earned, not given. The kind that comes from surviving what was meant to destroy her. She's not strong because she's never been hurt. She's strong because she's been through pain that should have crushed her spirit. But instead, it shaped her into something unshakable. She knows what it feels like to be in the middle of a storm with no clear path out. She knows the taste of disappointment, the silence of unanswered prayers, the weight of carrying burdens in secret. And yet she rises, not because everything is perfect, but because she made the decision that she would not stay down. She chose not to let the fire define her, only refine her. She let it burn away what wasn't real, what wasn't meant to stay, what was keeping her small. And from those ashes, she built something stronger. There is nothing fragile about a woman who has healed herself over and over again. She doesn't need to announce her survival story. You see it in her presence, in the way she holds herself, in the calm in her eyes, in the power in her silence. She doesn't flinch at chaos because she's already lived through worse. She doesn't fear failure because she's already recovered from what should have ended her. And now she carries herself with a quiet dignity. Not because life has been easy, but because she learned how to endure with grace. Her resilience doesn't come from pretending everything is fine. It comes from facing the pain, sitting with it, learning from it, and then choosing not to stay there. She's cried in places no one saw. She's broken down behind closed doors, but she never gave up. She wiped her own tears, stood in her own strength, and got back up when giving up seemed easier. That's royalty, not crowns and titles, but courage and perseverance. She doesn't look like what she's been through, and that's part of her testimony. She's learned that true elegance isn't about how you look when everything's in place, but how you carry yourself when everything's falling apart. When she had nothing left but faith, she leaned into it. When people walked away, she didn't chase. When doors closed, she didn't force them open. She trusted the process even when it didn't make sense. And that trust became her foundation. The fire taught her what really matters. It stripped away the superficial. It revealed her strength. It reconnected her with her source. And because of it, she's not easily impressed, easily shaken, or easily distracted. She's focused now on purpose, on healing, on peace. She doesn't waste her energy trying to prove her worth. She knows who she is, and more importantly, she knows what it took to become her. She carries a certain authority that only comes from being tested. People feel it when she speaks, when she enters the room, when she makes a decision. Her no is firm, her yes is full. She no longer compromises with fear. She no longer explains herself to those committed to misunderstanding her. She's learned to protect her energy like the precious resource it is. Because when you've rebuilt yourself from rock bottom, you don't give your peace away carelessly. She's not bitter, she's better. Because she didn't let the fire turn her hard, she let it make her holy. She didn't let betrayal make her closed, she let it make her wise. She still believes in love, in joy, in goodness, not because life has always shown it, but because she's chosen to keep her heart open in spite of it all. That choice over and over again is what makes her extraordinary. She knows that healing isn't linear, that some days the fire still lingers, that some moments still sting, but even on the hard days, she shows up. Even when her voice shakes, she speaks. Even when her heart is tired, she loves. Because resilience isn't about never breaking, it's about refusing to stay broken. And she embodies that truth in every step she takes. She understands now that survival is not enough. She's built for more than just making it. She's built to lead, to inspire, to lift others out of their own fires with the same strength she used to walk out of hers. Her scars are not shame, they are symbols of survival, of grace, of becoming. There's something powerful, even defiant, about a woman who still chooses joy. Not the kind of joy that comes when everything is going right, when the bills are paid and the skies are clear. No, her joy shows up in the middle of the storm. It sings in the valley. It dances while tears still sit in the corner of her eyes. This kind of joy doesn't depend on circumstances. It doesn't wait for life to be easy. It's a decision, a declaration, a spiritual rebellion against everything that tried to steal her light. She's learned that joy is not a fragile feeling, but a fierce weapon. It pushes back against despair. It silences lies. It interrupts hopelessness. Her joy confuses people because it doesn't match her reality. They expect her to fold, to be bitter, to complain. But she smiles, not because she's pretending, because she's anchored. She's learned to pull joy from a deeper well, one not affected by external droughts. And when she laughs, it's not shallow, it's freedom echoing from a soul that refused to die in the dark. Her smile is not naive. It's not the product of denial. She knows grief. She's met sorrow. She's walked through seasons where hope was a whisper, but she held on to that whisper until it became a song. And now, even in uncertainty, she creates space for gratitude, for laughter, for light. That choice isn't always easy. Some mornings it takes everything in her, yes, to get up and choose to see the good. But she does it again and again. Not because it's easy, because it's necessary. She's not chasing happiness like it's a finish line. She understands that happiness is fleeting, often based on what happens. But joy is rooted in who she is. It's rooted in faith, in perspective, in truth. She can sit in the middle of chaos and still find something to thank God for. That's power. That's perspective. That's what keeps her grounded when everything around her is shifting. People see her strength, but they don't always see what it costs. They see the smile, but not the fight behind it. How she had to wrestle with discouragement just to find that joy. How she had to silence the voices in her head telling her it was too late, she wasn't enough, it would never change. How she had to cling to a promise when all she had was silence. That's what makes her joy radical. It was forged in fire. She doesn't let life steal from her twice. Pain may come, but she refuses to give it her peace too. Disappointment may knock, but it doesn't get to stay. She's learned to laugh even while healing, to celebrate even while rebuilding, to dance even while waiting. Her joy is not about pretending everything's okay. It's about declaring that she will not be overcome. This kind of woman is a threat to darkness because her light doesn't dim under pressure. It shines brighter. She knows how to shift the atmosphere. Her joy lifts rooms, softens hearts, disarms negativity. She doesn't need to be loud to be powerful. Sometimes it's just in the way she walks with calm, the way she speaks with kindness, the way she refuses to let the world harden her. She doesn't envy people who look like they have it all together. She values authenticity over perfection. She knows joy isn't found in the appearance of success, but in the peace of being true to who you are. She's let go of needing approval to feel okay. She's not smiling to be liked. She's smiling because she knows who she is, and more importantly, who she is equable. Even in her solitude, her joy remains because it's not dependent on people being there, things going right, or doors swinging open. It's rooted in something eternal, something unshakable. That's why she guards it. She's careful who she lets speak into her life, what she listens to, what she consumes. She knows her joy is sacred and she protects it accordingly. When others sink into cynicism, she chooses celebration. When others echo negativity, she chooses to bless. She finds beauty in the simple, a sunrise, a deep breath, a warm word, a moment of stillness. Her life may not be easy, but it's full because she's decided to live it awake, alive, grateful. She doesn't wait for the perfect moment. She makes moments beautiful just by how she shows up in them. Her joy is not luck, it's legacy. It's a choice she makes every single day. God bless you.